So good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is a very special program. My name is Andrea Davis Pinkney, and I am Vice President, Executive Editor at Scholastic. So yes, we love Scholastic, and I'm very pleased to be here with all of you. You know, books bring us together, and we're going to watch a very important and impactful conversation with none other than civil rights notable Ruby Bridges. Now, I have a question for the young people, which is, how many of you are back in school now? Raise your hand if you're back in school. Okay, I see a lot of hands. Are there any teachers? Let me see if you're, okay. Now, let me say, we are living in a time when anybody can go to any school. But that was not always the case. And we're now going to watch a conversation with Ruby Bridges, who in 1960 was the first black student at her school in New Orleans. And since that time, she has become a pioneer for school integration. She has become a spokesperson for the importance of people and communities coming together. Her new book is entitled I Am Ruby Bridges, where she tells her story from her own young point of view. Ms. Bridges is not able to join us this morning, so the format will be that we will watch the interview, and then I will be more than happy to field some questions. The book, I Am Ruby Bridges, is illustrated by Nicholas Smith. Nicholas Smith combines his talent. He calls himself an artist, obviously, and an activist, so he is an artivist, and he is an NAACP Image Award nominee, so we'll hear about his work as well. And I'm gonna just take a seat, let you watch the wonderful conversation with Ruby Bridges, and then we'll field some questions.
Hi, I'm Andrea Davis Pinkney, Vice President, Executive Editor at Scholastic, and I am very pleased to welcome civil rights icon Ruby Bridges. Hello, Ruby. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
It is great to see you, and let's dive right in. Ruby, you have written numerous books for children about the historic day in 1960 when you integrated your New Orleans elementary school as a first grader. In your new book, I Am Ruby Bridges, the narrative takes an approach that's different from your previous books. For the first time ever, you channel your inner 6-year-old and share your child's eye account of what happened on that day, speaking to readers from your little girl perspective. Ruby, why did you choose this storytelling approach, and what do you hope your readers will take away from it?
Well, when I was asked to write the book, I thought about it long and hard because you're absolutely right. I've written about my story and talked about it so much. I thought, what what is it that would be new and fresh for my little young readers? And the one thing that most people don't know about me is that I do have a sense of humor, and I think I had it even at 6 years old. So I wanted to tell my story, I mean, strictly from that 6 year old and how I saw things that I thought was funny from the perspective of probably every 6 year old, and I thought it would be really, really cool to, add some of that sense of humor to it. So I'm really excited about it. I think kids are going to love it. I spend so much time in schools working with young people, and I'm always doing that. I'm always, trying to keep them interested by, being funny. And I thought it would work in this book, and I think we did a great job.
It really is funny. It makes a great read aloud. And it's almost like you're kind of, I don't know, kind of getting down right in front of that child and inviting them in and almost reaching out a hand and, kind of introducing yourself and saying, I am Ruby Bridges. Hey, come along with me because I got something to tell you. I want to share my story with you. One of the things that I love is the illustrations.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
they're
Yes.
gorgeous. They're strikingly rendered by #1 New York Times bestselling artist Nicholas Smith. Many of us know Nicholas from his picture book, The 1619 Project, Born on the Water, written by Renee Watson. And Nicholas does something amazing. I mean, he combines activism with his creative expression. He refers to himself as an artivist. In I Am Ruby Bridges, he creates a visual theme of kind of building a bridge. I noticed the fingers kind of building a bridge. Tell us about the artwork, Ruby, in the book, and your remarkable collaborative process with Nicholas Smith.
I have to tell you, I was so moved working with Nicholas. I mean, you're absolutely right. He's young. I mean, definitely a lot younger than I am, but young and fresh, and it seemed that he connect perfectly through his art with the kids. And so I was a little bit hesitant because he would do these illustrations, and I because I was telling the story from that 6-year-old perspective, just trying to put my young readers right there with me. If he got just the slightest thing off, because he was doing it from his own imagination and heart, and I was a little bit hesitant to go back and say, well, Nicholas, what if we did this or did that? And let me tell you, we had a long conversation about what my thoughts were, what I was seeing, how I felt. And the next time we met and he had that layout, I mean, it was amazing, so magical because it was perfect. It was like the whole story just, blossomed right in front of me. And I am so excited about my time working with him. And I just believe that he captured everything. You're right. That bridge, the way that he did that, it's like you could see kids doing that.
Yes, exactly. Tell us about that. There are two fingers that come together in the story, and we see, well, I'll let you tell it.
Yes, it's two fingers, like a kid would, make some sort of gesture or a sign. But for him, he took these two fingers and he brought them together. And we had these little sort of dots. And I said, Nicholas, I can't really see them, like what are their, what do they really represent? And he said, well, it's the bridging of black and white. That's what the bridge is about. And we talk about that in the book. And so I said, well, you know what, Nicholas, let's make them bigger and bolder so we can really see them. And so in the book, there you see this bridge and you can see the white folks and the black folks coming together, bridging, together, going over this bridge. And it was amazing. I mean, I love it. And I think, we're going to see little ones in the classroom doing that.
I agree. And for everybody watching, here it is, let's bring everybody together just in this simple action.
Absolutely. And that's what it's really about. It is, it's about reaching those kids at a very, very young age. Because let's face it, we all know that, I always say none of our babies are born knowing anything about disliking one another because of the color of their skin. So we want to catch them as early as possible. And that's what it's about. It's about, bridging that gap.
Right, exactly. And the little ones can do that. You can even have a friend and go up to the friend and connect that finger and
I
make that.
know.
So it's just perfect. And what's interesting is a lot of folks don't realize that typically authors and artists don't meet each other. They don't collaborate in the traditional sense. And you and Nicholas have come together to create something very special. So we're loving the artwork. I've heard you say, Ruby, that a book can be a tool. That is such a great word. In the case of I Am Ruby Bridges, one of the tools you provide for readers is a glossary of words and information that appears in the story. In the glossary, you define words. You tell youngsters what an opportunity is. You explain what the Supreme Court is. In what ways can adults and caregivers, parents, teachers, librarians use your books and all books as tools to foster conversations with children about racism and equality?
When I was writing it, I knew the age of my audience, and then I thought about myself. The one thing that my parents wanted from me, which was the reason why they signed me up for this task, was better opportunities. But I mean, what did I know at 6 years old about opportunities? And the truth of the matter is that it was such a big word that I didn't even, I had no idea what the word meant. What is an opportunity and why is it so important? You know, that's what a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old would say. And I didn't want to just not use the word because they wouldn't understand it. I thought, you know what, we need a glossary because I want this to be a teaching tool. If we're going to tell the story, they need to understand what the words mean and why those words were so important to adults and parents. I mean, being 5 and 6, you don't really understand that. And so I thought, to keep the longevity of this book, especially nowadays when, we're right in the middle of book banning, that I wanted it to be a teaching tool so that, we could put the words in, whether they resonated with a 5 or 6-year-old or not, and they could flip to the back of the book and use that glossary and understand the meaning of those words. The teacher that's using it could have them go back to the back of the book and use it. You're right. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and I was so happy that Scholastic loved it. And I think we're going to use it often for these young readers.
I Am Ruby Bridges is edited by Scholastic Vice President and Publisher Liza Baker, my colleague. One of my favorite passages from the book is in the section where you, Ruby, as a child, start to understand the gravity of your situation. The narrative begins, finally, it all makes sense. Can you tell us a little bit about that section where you really illuminate the importance of integration for all children then and now?
Yes. I mean, that definitely is the way that it happened for me, after being in that situation and not really understanding what was going on around me because, as I point out, my parents never explained it to me. So all of that was sort of left to my own imagination. But then there was an aha moment, and that's what you're referring to, that finally it made sense. I understood why I didn't see any other kids in the school. And, finally, when I did encounter other kids, it was very evident to me that no one looked like me, that I was not only the only child until I, ran across these kids that were being hidden from me, but definitely the only Black person in the school. And it made sense, what being the first one meant. I understood then that it was about me and the color of my skin. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to sort of bring that to life in a way in the book. And again, I really believe, the words on the page and Nicola's, artwork, it just brings all of that to life. That I really think it's going to resonate with my young readers.
It's almost like your light bulb went on,
Yeah.
your kind of consciousness and also kind of an inner light. Like this is an important moment. I'm here to illuminate it. And I think that's just so powerful. It will resonate with young people now, today. What strikes me is that, although these events were happening in your life in 1960, they speak to what's important in the lives of kids right this minute. Looking at, the many books that you've written, books by you, books about you. Why this book now? How can I Am Ruby Bridges inform kids who are modern activists, who want to make a difference in the world today? What is the tool that this book provides for the young people?
Well, I have to say that it's unfortunate that, we do have to rely on these kinds of books that will tell stories such as these. And I say unfortunate because you're absolutely right. Um, it was important back then in 1960 that we go through what we had to go through to make things better for our young people today. But here we are today, and we are still dealing with those same subjects. And so it is uh, equally as important that we have books and people such as myself that can talk about that part of our history, um, to make sure that kids understand that, racism, especially this subject that we're dealing with, racism has no place in the hearts and minds of our children. And the fact that they're not born knowing anything about that, it's learned behavior. And so it's books like these that can help us as parents, as educators, to explain it to them in a way that they get it, that they understand that no, I don't want this to happen to another kid, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I think this particular book and other books like it can help young people understand that. And because it is a subject that feels like we're going to be dealing with for a very long time, I think it's important that we continue to have books such as these.
And it's the beauty of a picture book. The
Yeah.
Nicholas's artwork tells the visual story. I there's that very powerful image where you are reaching out to shake the hand of your school principal, and you see the principal, very kind of stalwart there and refusing to reciprocate, your gesture. So I think the words and the pictures and the sitting with a child, the reading, the unpacking, the talking about opportunity, the explaining of what's going on and how it can apply in the world today. And that's the gift. And then looking at this visual, like, okay, that principal would not shake Ruby Bridges' hand, but let's go to here, let's build that bridge.
Yes.
Ruby, what is next for you? Tell us about the books readers can expect coming up.
Well, there's everyone knows, that's familiar with my story, that there was this one woman, and even in I Am Ruby Bridges, we see Mrs. Henry in the pages of that book. But there's one of my new books that we are working on actually is a conversation between myself and Mrs. Henry, which I think is going to be great, especially, it will so resonate with educators and teachers, but also kids, because, teachers play a really big role, an important role in the lives of their young students, just like Mrs. Henry, meant the world to me. I don't know what my experience would have been like if I had had someone other than Mrs. Henry, say a teacher who really did not want to teach me and just was there for the job. I probably would have been a different person. So, teachers have a major impact on the young students that they teach. So I'm excited about this new book. I think it's going to be great.
That is beautiful. Right. Barbara Henry just, embraced you in so many ways. And again, going back to that word, this can be a tool for teachers, aspiring teachers, and of course, parents and all the kids who spend so many hours in the classroom.
Yes.
Very-
And then there's another book. I've been traveling for 25 years, visiting schools in classrooms, doing presentations with students and sharing my story with them. And I would get boxes and boxes of mail from classrooms, and I mean 30 letters at a time. I've been, accumulating all of these letters for 20 years, 25 years. And so we've decided to take some of those letters and actually publish them. And I think parents and educators are going to be so moved, because we sometimes have a tendency to underestimate the things that our children are really thinking about and processing. And so some of those subjects are going to be in these letters. And there's going to be beautiful artwork as well with these letters. So I'm looking forward to the publishing of that book as well.
Well, that kind of brings it all full circle. In your future books, we're going to hear the voices of young people. In I Am Ruby Bridges, it started with you. We're hearing the voice of you as a young person. All very powerful, very inspirational, a great message to end on. Build that bridge. Let your voice be heard. Thank you, Ruby Bridges, and congratulations on your new book, I Am Ruby Bridges.
Thank you so much. And it's just been such a journey, you know, being able to write these books and work so closely with Scholastic. So I'm excited about what's ahead in the future. Thank
Thank
you so much.
you for building that bridge.
So there you have it. You saw the wonderful Ruby Bridges. We have a few minutes for questions. Obviously, Ms. Bridges is not here, and I'm happy to answer any questions, perhaps about the book itself or anything that can be answered. I don't know if we have a microphone set up or how the questions are going to work. Okay, so I see the microphones back there. Feel free. All right, we have a teacher who does not need a microphone. Do you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure how the Pinckney legacy is connected, but all of the work of your family has been really important to me as a librarian, which I've been for a long time. And I'm wondering what you think about the book by Robert Coles that was published in 2010 before we had this plethora of beautiful books about Black joy and history and celebration. Because that book has been there, been there. And I'd love to know if you have any thoughts on it.
So you're referring to the book by Robert Coles that was written about Ruby Bridges, the story of Ruby Bridges, illustrated by George Ford. So the question is, what do I think of that book? Yes. Well, you know, the Robert Coles book, The Story of Ruby Bridges, I mean, it's a classic. You know, it's in every school, it's in many libraries. And, you know, Robert Coles was the psychologist that really kind of talked about the impact of racism on young people. And so that's why that book has stood the test of time. It's why it's so important. It's why what Ruby talked about, books being not only a bridge but a tool. And it's a book that a professional in the field of children wrote and created and is part of the Ruby Bridges canon. And we embrace it and we really love the book, so yeah. All right, other questions? I see a bright red shirt.
Hi.
Hi.
It was off for first. Hi, I am the IP owner, the copyright author of Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, and I would love to meet and speak with Ms. Ruby Bridges and allow her to be one on the forefront of the real Black Lives Matter movement, which includes God. It's a sermon. And it's in court now, so people will see what the real vision is versus what people ran off and did. And it includes X, or All Lives Matter, which is the name of the sermon. All Lives Matter, we are our brothers and sisters' keeper, from Genesis 4, the Cain and Abel story. And so I would like to just extend to her that we, as a team, a world team spirit, have to understand that we cannot live in a world where we're not our brothers and sisters' keeper. And when we're all working together in this way, we're joining hands like the Coca-Cola commercial and doing all that we can do to bring forth that same truth that all people have good gifts that God has from God, that God has given to them, that they will share with the world for God's glory. And I'd ask that you would extend this invitation to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
All right, we've got, how are we doing on time? Oh, 1 minute, 60 seconds.
Hi.
All right, who's gonna put a ribbon on it? All right, one last question.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jennifer. My son Dominic and I did a little segment on Ruby Bridges in 2020 when I got to be his teacher. And we wrote her a note but we couldn't find a PO box to send it to. Where can we send these notes to Ruby Bridges? Is there like an email address, or is there a link on the website? So
It's I'll tell you.
There are several people who would love that answer.
Okay. I just realized that other people did want the address, and the address for Scholastic is 775 Broadway, New York, New York. 557, I'm sorry.
Yep.
557 Broadway, New York, New York, 10012. Okay?
And we'll get that information to Ruby. Thank you. Okay, I'm getting the wrap it up sign. Is there a 30-second? Hello. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm a college student and I would love to write my own picture book someday. And I was wondering, how do you strike that balance between teaching about an important historical topic that is a little dark and but needs to be taught versus like keeping it like kind of children friendly and making sure that they can learn about it, but at like a child appropriate age?
Right, so the college student wants to write a book about historical topics that unpack some very kind of pertinent issues, and how do you do that? So in the wrap it up 2 seconds that we have, I would say read the best of them. Read I Am Ruby Bridges, read other books, and see how they do it. Use those as your mentor texts.
Thank you.
Thank you.